President Ruto, having been in power for almost over 2 weeks now, having named his cabinet secretaries and opened up parliament, it's obvious what his fiscal and monetary policies are for the short term and long term that's going to change the entire economic sphere of our entire nation. So if you're new to this channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe and push bell notification buttons, do so before we move ahead for tons of amazing analysis every single Monday to Friday. Sometimes we even post twice. Now, without wasting much time, let's look at his fiscal policies in regards to taxation and government budget. Now, in regards to taxation, it's obvious that he wants to build this bottom-up economy where he's going to be taxing the super wealthy to try to fund the lower income and impoverished communities to build our nation. He's going to do this by implementing a new wealth tax. This is different from the corporation and consumption taxes such as VAT that you're used to. This is because it's going to be taxing someone's assets at the end of the year, less their liabilities, regardless of how much income they earn during the year. For example, if I own, let's say, this asset, which is my computer, it's worth 100,000 shillings, and he's going to just tax me based on that. Now, it's not been passed through parliament, so I can't give you any figures on rates, but as he mentioned in his speech, they'll be subtracting the assets from the liabilities to get a sum of your net assets, and then that value will be taxed.
The economic principle of equitable taxation requires that the tax burden reflects ability to pay. Those who are wealthy and have the capacity to pay should pay more.
I'm an accountant, and the basic law of accounting states that your assets must equal your liabilities. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, but if you're subtracting the liabilities from the assets, isn't the remaining figure a zero? Anyways, this taxation may be very, very hard to impose because people can mistake their assets by not revaluing them. For example, if I own a piece of land today, and let's say I bought it at 1 million, let's say it goes up in value to 10 million. But of course, I won't state it's gone up because of that higher level of taxation. In response, we can see a lot of financial misstating in our books. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all about helping those in our community who are less fortunate than us and come from less privileged backgrounds so we can build this economy bottom-up, hustler style. But by imposing a wealth tax on people who have taken a lot of time to build wealth, by examining my grandfather and how he built his business, and maybe I'm speaking from an ignorant standpoint, so again, correct me down below if I'm saying anything you don't agree with, should you really be taxing people like those who work harder in order to help those who have not worked as hard? And this, maybe your opinions are for or against this, but the economic consequences of this may be devastating because it discourages people to invest into our economy. Think about it. If we are giving a wealth tax and another country, let's say Djibouti is not, let's say you wanted to set up a business, why would you set up in Kenya your business knowing simply the things that you own, because you own them, will be taxed each subsequent year? Now, as an economy that is trying to grow, should we really be discouraging foreign investment? Furthermore, he's proposed bringing a new tax bracket on income. Right now, the current highest is 30%, and he's possibly bringing like another 35% for those of us in our community who are super wealthy. This again has the same consequences as will generally become a more expensive country. Look at it. Uganda, like us right now, are still at 30%. Tanzania at 30%. Mauritius at 15%. South Africa at 28%. Egypt at 25%, Panama at 25%, and so countries have such low ones such as Switzerland at 11.5% and UAE and British Virgin Islands at 0%. So by becoming more expensive than this already huge menu of countries where they could go and invest and have less tax burden, why would they pick Kenya? Anyways, I'm still being faithful with my president. We just have to see how this plays out in the long run. Furthermore, he has pronounced heavy budget cuts in his cabinet secretary to reduce the heavy loan.
I have instructed Treasury to work with ministries to find at least 300 billion shillings in this year's budget so that we can remove it, because the market cannot sustain the kind of borrowing we are doing as government.
Now, in his proposal, he's going to make cuts to the travel, entertainment, training, and publicity budgets. Again, I'm very happy that he's making cuts to reduce our borrowing. As he said, the government should never borrow to finance recurrent expenditure. It is not right, it is not prudent, and it is not sustainable, which is true. However, by cutting down on these sectors, is it really the right move for our country? Or could he have cut off in other sectors? For example, we are a very heavily tourism reliant country, and by making cuts in travel and entertainment, it's just going to make those more services that much more expensive and making Kenya a less favorable tourist destination for foreigners. Because think about it, if you cut down the budget, it makes things more expensive, and then this person, let's say in Uganda, the hotel will now cost $300, but Kenya will be $400. Why pick Kenya when you can go there and see the similar animals, if you get where I'm coming from? But that being said, he had to make cuts from somewhere, and then you have to argue the other sectors such as health and education may be arguably more important to our economy. So I'm just going to trust that he's done his math in the back room and he's making the cuts in the right areas without harming our economy too much. But again, only time can tell. And finally, let's address the monetary issues that are in our country right now, where the CBK have increased the interest rate from 7.5% to a whopping 8.25%. Now note, this is only the CBK rate, so we could see commercial lenders such as banks charging from 13%, somewhere in the region of 14, 15, and possibly 16%. Now, this of course is to reduce the inflation that our country is having by reducing consumption and less demand for the dollar, hence hopefully bringing the dollar down. But in the short term, as I'm seeing the situation, is borrowing is more expensive. Taxation is going to get much higher on businesses and enterprise. So although I love Ruto's bottom-up policy, I feel through these policies, and this is just my opinion, that he's completely ignoring the needs of the top in order to feed the bottom without putting a complete balance. Because if in a country where, think about it, borrowing is high, at the current status the dollar rate is extremely high, taxation is going to increase, how can businesses survive? Anyways, right now nothing has been passed through parliament, and we still have to see what laws will actually be enforced. Of course, the CBK one has been enforced, but how will this economy move forward? For you to find out, hit that subscribe button, hit that push bell notification button, and leave a comment down below on your opinion of anything that I mentioned in this video, and I promise to get back to you. And that's all I have to say for now. I'm still optimistic in this new government, but let's see how long that optimism lasts for. For now, as usual, peace.